Welcome back. Let's see how music finds a blend with advocacy. That's the conversation we're having next with Zambian artists and environmentalists joining us from Lusaka, Mr. Mumba Yachi. Mr. Yachi, thank you so much for coming on the program.
No, thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
I can see you're just clearly a representation of what you advance for in terms of the environment, or you're wearing on your head. But let's talk about why this is important to you. People do music these days for a lot of leisure and pleasure. As long as it rolls in the dollars or the naira in our own currency in Nigeria, and as long as, you know, it gives what we call the vibe, is good. But you decided to ensure that, look, I want to make music with message. Tell us why.
Yeah, I think that's what music is intended for. Music is about carrying a certain message that can uplift people, that can educate people, you know, after dancing. But what are people going to get as a message out of it? So I decided to talk about things that are really affecting us these days. And I feel like it's very important to talk about the environment, for example, because those are really things that matter for us and our children to come.
Okay, so let's talk about. I'm looking at some of your records online and some of the things you've done and some of the things you've released as well. But let's specifically talk about the environment. Which aspect of it are you really trying to make a case for in terms of protection, so that we posit it properly?
Yes, the key thing for me concerning the environment, the key thing for me is the trees. The cutting of trees for me is something that really affects me personally. The making of charcoals, for example, because it's something, so we are multiplying as people, we are becoming so many, and if we are continuing to use charcoal, meaning trees will disappear. Definitely trees will disappear because we are multiplying and we are constantly using charcoal. So that is something really, really close to my heart, where I feel like we need to find alternatives. Instead of using trees, we find other ways to use. You know, for example, when we want to cook, our stoves, our everything, we need to replace charcoal. Really, that is something close to my heart.
Music activism is always, there are always all kinds of responses to music activities. Either you get the commendation or you get condemnation or literal flaks in that sense. Has there been any record you've done in terms of your campaign? Because whatever you think in terms of, say, okay, because we're making charcoal, we're going to cut trees, and felling trees is not good for environment. Those are people's businesses. So whatever is stopped, it's going to affect somebody's enterprise. So they may not really like you in that sense. So talk to us about what you've seen in terms of advocacy from people who may not be comfortable with what you're preaching.
Yes, the thing is, everybody's looking for means for money. So first of all, being a musician as I am just an artist who's touched by what is happening. So I'm trying to talk about what is touching me. And it is out there now for the authorities to see how to replace, how to find alternatives. Because those people who are making charcoal, they are looking for money. They are there looking for means to survive. So if the government, our government, can do something to replace what they are doing and replace it with something else, they will be welcoming, they'll be happy. They won't say, no, we want to remain on making charcoal, that's what we want to be doing in our lives. No, they will be willing to replace it with something better, with something ecological, eco-friendly. So I feel like nobody can really oppose the idea of replacing charcoal. I don't think so. I think everybody will agree with me that that is something that we all need to do, you know, because I've personally, I've had chats, I've talked with people who are into charcoal. They always tell us that if there is something better to do, they can do.
And you know, it's not just in your lyrics that you're representing the earth. We also see in your unique fashion. Talk to us about that and how you're assembling this, who's designing you, and how much impact it is making in your advocacy for the preservation of the earth.
Yeah, you know, some things are just my fashion sense, first of all, like this, I've always loved this ever since my childhood. Even when I started my career, I've always loved this kind of hatched part. Also now, embracing the environmental ideas, embracing the ecosystem ideas, I came to realize that actually, oh, these things that I've always loved, they are actually eco-friendly. So I feel, you know, it is also a way of giving people a message through my attire, through my clothing, through my costumes. I've always wanted to tell a story. If people see me performing, dressing in a certain way, I've always wanted people to know what am I trying to say out of it, instead of just saying words, but maybe just my attire can say something. So I've embraced that as well, to mean something, you know. Yeah, to say something. Okay, because we are also, I'm also a big fan of Fela Kuti. I can say Fela Kuti used to say, Africa is hot. We know who we are, you know, we know who we are. So Africa is hot. That's why sometimes he used to dress the way he could dress. So it is just a way of telling stories through dressing.
That's beautiful. And I must say that you're also Pan-African in that sense, from Congo, settled in Zambia. And I must say that while you're a fan of Fela Kuti, Nigerians are also a fan of a certain song that was performed by a Congolese band, which then settled in Kenya eventually, as Super Mazebe. You know the Kasongo, yeah, yeah. Do you know that?
That's so funny because my mother's name is Kasongo.
Exactly. I saw that on your social media page when you wished your mom Happy Mother's Day yesterday, right? I don't know if you know that song, you know that band, but just to let you know that we share a lot in common, you know, as Africans, yes. As Africa, a continent. And I don't understand why there's so much barriers in terms of movements, sometimes in trade, even music sometimes. You hear people saying, why are you listening to Nigerian music? Why is it trending more here? Forgetting that out there, they actually see Africa as one country. I know you have great guitar dexterity, but I want you to speak to us about your journey as well, that Pan-African journey, because I know there was some sort of controversy around you at some point, but how has your African journey been? What has been your African experience that you hope that will get better and will hand onto our children a better Africa?
Yeah, you know, we have always been, Africa has always been one. Africa has always been, we Africa, actually, as we are talking today, things are getting better. Countries like Kenya has allowed African countries to get in Kenya without visas. Ghana also has followed suit. So Africa, we are getting back to where we used to be, whereby Africans can go around Africa without visas. That's a very beautiful thing where we are going. And then talking about personally, my experience being, I'm a Pan-Africanist by nature, you know, like growing up at the border, Zambia and Congo, already, I was already formed to be a Pan-Africanist in that sense. And then growing up also reading history, reading books, you realize that, no. Africa is one, and people are coming, people came. The only tool they could use is to divide Africans first. When you divide them, you can rule them. But nowadays, the new generation of Africans, we are understanding that, no, we need to come together because we have always been together. talking about music, as you have just mentioned, somebody like Ailo Longa from Congo was very, very famous and popular there in Nigeria.
Oh, yes.
You know? And a lot of Nigerians didn't even know that he was from Congo. They thought he was from Cameroon, you know. So Africa has always been one like that. And I'm so happy where we are going, because things are going to the right way, whereby we'll become one again. That's why actually I have a song titled 1885. If people can just Google that, Mumba, Yachi 1885, where I'm talking about the Berlin Conference, because I think Africans, we need to know about that date. It's so very, very important. 1885, how they divided Africa in Berlin. So it's just people who sit down and divide Africa.
All right, Mr. Yachi, I wish, do you have your guitar there?
I have my guitar at the corner there, yes.
Oh, I wish you had it, because I wanted you to do an acoustic version of what you did on that hill of Chilanga. That your song, Mokambo. I know you sing in Bemba as well. Is this something you can do for us in 1 minute?
Okay, sure, thanks. Thank you very much. Somebody, guitar.
If you can do it in 30 seconds, just the acoustic version.
Okay. Epa, Kumokambo. Aha. Mama. Nekavulanka shinevo, levuloka tatana mayo. Ulia Kumokambo, Bushiwa Musukubala no Buchi, Ifisongole, Imbalala no Tunkobyo. Kumokambo. Mama, mama, Mokambo. Moto, mama, Mokambo. Mama, Mokambo.
All right.
That was so beautiful.
Mumba
I wish it was not going to end.
Mumba Yachi, great performance. I know it's from your album Mongo Rise 2013. I just checked it. I said, you went all the way to Chilanga Hills to just deliver that and just to feel nature. I know you like that community life and all of that. But that's as much we can take. Thank you so much. We need to have you for a full performance, because I don't know what it is about East African music. There's something about it. There's something very soulful and very deep and very relatable. That's what Africa is worth. Thank you so much for coming on the program all the way from Lusaka in Zambia. For coming on the program, Mumba Yachi, an artist and environmentalist. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, guys, let's get... I'm beginning to wrap up the conversation, and this time we'll go to the emails, right? Let's find out what the people are saying. I'm trying to get to the email and see what the people are saying. Yes, I think we have one from Tomiwa. Ifedayo says, JAM is still not addressing what happened to the candidates that took their exams on the 26th of April around noon that had only 55 questions to answer in English instead of 60 questions, and out of the 55 questions, 1 to 10 has no question but only options. How was that marked? That's a big one.
So we will keep tabs on JAM to ensure that these things are investigated transparently and ensure that the right answers are gotten for the good of the 1.95 million people who wrote that examination and the whole of Nigeria's future. But we have to anchor at this point. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. I know a lot of people wanted to hear Kasongo, yeah, but he didn't do that song.
Oh, he said that's his mother's name.
Exactly, that's his mother's first name, Kasongo.
He loves nature a lot. Yeah. So Chilanga Hills, he went there to record the acoustic. Yeah, I don't know, there's something about their song. Whether they are saying meaningful things or not, it just sounds
cool. Of course they're saying meaningful stuff. I'm Kayode Okiki.
I'm Bukola Koka. I'll be back tomorrow. Sunrise Daily is up next, by the way.
And I'm Jeffrey Uzama. Bye-bye.